Hello everyone, Rimea here. After more than a decade without a new 2D Mario game, we've finally been blessed with a trailer for Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I can still barely believe it's real. Since I suppose I'm somewhat of an expert on the recent 2D Mario games, I think it kinda makes sense for me to go over the trailer and analyze it and whatnot. First of all, I think the game's name is worth talking about. It's obviously not a new Super Mario Bros. Game, but it does still share a similar logo style. Regardless, the fact that it's called Super Mario Bros. Wonder definitely indicates that this is really a new mainline 2D Mario game, despite all the craziness in the trailer. And obviously, the Wonder name ties into all of the wonderful stuff we see happening throughout the trailer. So now, let's just go through the footage chronologically. The first thing we see is a flower which talks to the player throughout the trailer with proper voice acting. Its design looks like a mix between Super Mario Bros. 3's and Super Mario World's fire flowers. From what we see of it throughout the trailer, I imagine it's just here to explain all of the game's many goofy mechanics. I gotta say, small Mario here looks extremely cursed. Something about the way his head seems to be squished into his body, it's gonna take some getting used to. Regardless, the game looks beautiful. The art style is noticeably more cartoony and shiny than normal Mario games, but this first shot especially looks more pretty than any NSMB game. The game seems to use a tile-based system with modular 3D models similar to modern Kirby games. This topiary over here looks significant, very reminiscent of the acorn tree at the start of NSMBU's first level. And I do think this is the game's first level, by the way. Once Mario starts moving, we can actually see what appears to be the Mushroom Kingdom in the background. The little glimpse of it we get is beautiful. Later on in the trailer, we learn this game, or at least this world, takes place in the Flower Kingdom. Speaking of flowers, not only is that guide flower present at the start, there's also this floating blue one. It kind of looks like river piranha plants from NSMB games. Anyways, Mario hits a question mark block and the mushroom pops out. This powering up animation is interesting. I doubt the camera actually zooms in like this in-game, but that orange splash effect can also be seen at other points in the trailer, so that's cool. The way Mario's limbs grow individually reminds me of the growing animation from the Super Mario Bros. Movie. The jump pose is very striking and reminiscent of more classic Mario games. I love how expressive the animation is in this game. Speaking of jumping animations, this one is brand new. It seems to happen basically anytime the player bounces on anything. It seems like points from previous NSMB games have also been replaced with these text things that appear on screen. The more enemies you hit in a row, the more you get complimented, basically. Though it's interesting that we never see anyone get a 1-up through this system. Maybe 1-ups are gathered in a different way in this game. Because the points have been removed from the UI, the entire HUD looks a lot more clean now. Speaking of which, there are still life and coin counters, but there's also this purple coin counter. In fact, we can see a purple coin right here. It's very reminiscent of Super Mario Odyssey. There's also what looks to be a power-up reserve slot. It's interesting how all the Goombas here are sleeping. We can even see some in the background. They look a lot like floaty Goombas from Super Mario 3D World. Since this game is all about crazy, wonderful, dreamlike mechanics, I suppose Sleepy Goombas also tie into that. Just before we cut to the next scene, we can see a purple 10 coin, which is an element that's somewhat carried over from Super Mario Maker 2. We can also see the same section where Mario gets the elephant power-up at the end of the trailer right here, by the way. The next scene is even more interesting. This clearly takes place in some kind of forest setting. Notably, the tile set here, and throughout the rest of the trailer, is very reminiscent of Super Mario World with the way the grass curves all around the ground. When running at top speed, Mario extends his arms out, another classic animation that was brought back for this game that we haven't seen in 2D Mario for ages. Anyways, probably the most fascinating thing about this scene is the confirmation of level segments which take place in the background. We'll see players interacting with these later on in the trailer. Another noteworthy thing is the Super Mario Bros. 3 and New Super Mario Bros. U style pipe joints in this game. Or well, I don't know, it's noteworthy to me. Though they look a bit different, these colourful blocks here are in fact classic note blocks, which are bouncy. They seem to appear in lots of levels in this game. I like how they only bounce you when you jump. That should make them a lot less tedious. The way this piranha plant comes out of its pipe to chase after Mario is a very nice surprise. At the very end of the trailer, of course, we learn about Elephant Mario, but even all the way towards the beginning here, we already start to see a focus on elements that resemble real-life exotic animals, like in this case, hippos. Just like the note blocks, here these round purple hippos are also bouncy. When Mario collects this purple 10 coin, we can see a UI element appear that shows that 3 of them appear in this level. The 10 coins also get added to your purple coin counter. Since we can presumably buy stuff with purple coins, I like how this actually gives you a good reason to collect both coins and collectibles throughout levels. It seems like these hippos have several different types of behavior. This one is just stuck as a simple bouncy platform, but this one's walking around and this one is rolling. Once Mario jumps on the walking variation, it actually also starts rolling. Once again, we can see this adjective multiplier system in action, with a bunch of words taking the place of what would have previously given the player points. By the way, those enemies you end up defeating here, that's the return of a New Super Mario Bros. U element, Goombrats. It looks like they're dancing to the music, though some of them are also freaking out. Could it be they're reacting to the player? The next scene shows Mario sliding along some orange tracks. These probably apply a similar auto-running effect as Super Mario 3D World's boost panels, though Mario can also hang onto them from the bottom with a pretty slick animation. Actually, that platform Mario hangs onto gets lowered down into place at the start of the clip. This section also features some interesting visuals. Could this be a weird form of cave, or is there an entire world that looks like whatever this is? In this section, Mario also encounters some more of these piranha plant looking things, only now they're purple, and hitting them seems to spawn purple coins later on in the section. These enemies down here are interesting. Their design is very reminiscent of Spinies or Spike Tops, but I'm pretty sure they're brand new. I like how they notice Mario from afar, and jump up towards him once he gets close. Towards the end of this clip, we see this freaky looking cloud guy. Maybe he'll emit lightning bolts. His design looks a bit like Lack-a-Thunder after all. Despite the game's impressive visuals, it's interesting how there's no parallax on individual 3D elements in the background. Just look at the geometry in this clip. Even though these are probably 3D models, the perspective just doesn't shift when it should. Honestly, I think this totally works for the game's goofy art style. The backgrounds still look gorgeous regardless. The next clip is of a beach section. This one in particular reminds me of Kirby games. I love how everything here has a wave design, not only the island in the background, but even the clouds. Another island here looks like a Koopa shell cave, by the way. Maybe this will also appear in levels like in New Super Mario Bros. Wii. At the very start of this clip, we can see another one of those piranha plant buds, only this one is golden. We only ever see one color of these buds in any segment, so I'm betting they just change color to match whatever level theme they're in. And making their grand return from Super Mario Bros. 3, waterfalls you can swim in. It's hard to tell from these little snippets of gameplay, but the way Mario moves horizontally whilst moving his arms here might suggest that swimming controls will be changed in this game, or at least I hope so. Over to the right here we can see a 3 white question block, an element which seems more and more common in Mario games these days. Down here we can also see our first Koopa Trooper. This Barracuda here not only looks at Mario, but he also gets angry when Mario gets close. That's a really nice touch. When Mario jumps on this cloud, the waterfall stops and the cloud's expression changes, which is somewhat similar to how bouncy clouds react to you in NSMB Wii and U. We seem to be in an autumn forest here. This actually kind of reminds me a lot of some of the level themes in Yoshi's Island. At first I thought Mario was racing against these pink roller skating Koopas in this segment, similar to Nabbit in NSMB U, but later in the clip we see more skating Koopas just kind of hanging out, so they're probably just normal enemies. Another thing we see here for the first time is Mario getting a boost after running for a while, which is of course also how it works in more recent 3D Mario games. Towards the end of this clip, another strange thing happens. This Mario themed block appears out of nowhere. Maybe these are blocks that only appear when you play as a specific character, kind of like those switches in Super Mario 3D World. Here we get a close-up look of Mario running at his top speed past the midway flag, confirming the return of that element. Then we get to see this lovely cartoony animation of Mario entering a pipe on one end and exiting it on the other side, which seems to confirm the return of seamless pipes like in Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario Land 2. Here we finally see what one of those flowers does. It causes these pipes to pop up from below the ground. In fact, this whole area seems to be pipe themed. Even the hills and mountains in the background are shaped like pipes. Anyways, the focus of this scene, and indeed this game, is of course this peculiar flower. I believe it's called a Wonder Flower. Once Mario collects it, everything goes crazy. The pipes seem to become sentient and start moving, even in the background. The music that plays sounds a bit like the P-Switch music before turning into something different altogether. The purple coin counter also adds a decimal point, and soon we find out why, because the section that follows has these smaller purple coin pieces which yield 1/10 of a purple coin. We see Mario do a mid-air twirl here, a welcome return from the NSMB games. What's up with this flower thing here? Well, it's probably a deactivated version of those flower buds we've seen throughout the trailer. Maybe they only work outside of Wonder segments. Throughout this clip, pipes are also spewing out water, though this might just be a visual flare because this doesn't seem to affect Mario at all. Once Mario lands on this horizontal pipe, it bulges upwards and then starts moving like a caterpillar. This stuff is truly nuts. The next clip shows a later part of that hippo level from earlier. Now there's also giant hippos and they're bouncing all over the place, even in the background. It's a small touch, but I love how Mario looks kinda scared here. They really made the characters so much more expressive in this game. Unlike in the previous section, there's also a timer displayed here. Presumably this Wonder mode will end once the timer runs out. By the way, yeah, regular levels don't have a timer anymore at all. But anyways, that giant hippo I mentioned actually seems to be pretty special because it has this blue Wonder glow and there's a collectible floating above it. You probably have to collect this thing before the timer runs out or it disappears. This next clip shows a Mario silhouette level. This looks really cool. The Wonder effect here seems to allow you to control the stretchiness of everything. Just like in the previous segments, even the background is reacting accordingly. Though actually, weirdly, the Goomba is stretched out permanently. Not sure what's up with that. This next Wonder section might be the weirdest one yet. Here Mario has turned into a spike ball and is running around this underground section like a bowling ball. A lot like the rock mushroom from Super Mario Galaxy 2. I wonder if this is a separate power-up, or if it's always tied to Wonder segments. There's no way of telling currently. In the very first few frames of this clip, we actually see a new type of enemy that Mario presumably defeated just a second earlier, though its design is hard to distinguish. When Mario rolls through this yellow pillar, it makes an appropriate bowling pin sound. After collecting some more purple coin pieces, Mario encounters several of those companion flowers which cheer him on. And just before the clip ends, we can see that he's about to face some spinies, which also make their return. The shape of these trees definitely makes me think this is some sort of savanna theme. We can see those same pipe-shaped mountains in the background, and there's also what looks to be clouds in the shape of traditional Mario mushroom hills. But of course, the focus of this clip is this stampede of these buffaloes. They even appear in the foreground. Mario seems to be able to stand on them, which reminds me of the giant wiggler in New Super Mario Bros. DS. The goal pole in this clip has a blue flag with a symbol that's similar to the purple coins, though that blue color is definitely more reminiscent of Wonder stuff. This is probably to indicate that destroying this flag spawns purple coins, which is of course similar to what happens with the Mega Mushroom in New Super Mario Bros. DS and 2. In fact, I'm betting that these Wonder Flower segments will be very similar to Mega Mushroom segments in terms of level design, with them usually appearing as the final big explosion of mechanics at the end of a level. Either way, this weird-looking Toad House with the goal pole does seem to be the end of this level, because Mario strikes a unique pose, and this Caterpillar King character appears. We'll talk about this guy more later on, but he also appears at the end of another level, so I think that means that this is just this level's unique end animation. The next clip shows what's probably the end of that first Wonder segment. In fact, the whole gimmick stops the moment Mario collects this Wonder Seed. Which, yeah, by the way, those are a thing. Another collectible on top of the purple 10 coins, Wonder Seeds. Since we also see the players collect a Wonder Seed at the end of this level, I'm betting there will be one or multiple hidden per level and one at each level's end. Though, that being said, this one is hardly hidden. Maybe these aren't optional collectibles at all. Though that could also be because this is just the first level of the game, so it's introducing this concept to the player. This fountain here, by the way, has a very subtle elephant design, which is some funny foreshadowing. And then we get to the logo, which, yeah, is mostly just in the traditional New Super Mario Bros. Style, which is very funny considering how different the rest of the game looks. As one of the foremost experts on modern 2D Mario logo design, I think I'll get used to it, though I would have probably preferred something more unique. And with that, we're halfway through the trailer, now for the truly interesting stuff. The next segment gives us our first look at the game's world map, where it's also confirmed that Luigi is playable. Luigi does a somewhat awkward walk towards what looks to be the game's first level. It's weird how he's walking to the right, but he's almost facing the camera. Why do I know this is the game's first level? Well, Luigi only has 2 Wonder Seeds, which is the amount you get in this first level, and the next level up ahead seems to be uncleared, as indicated by this red ring as opposed to the other level's blue ring. And well, the level is called Welcome to the Flower Kingdom, so yeah, it's probably 1-1. Though actually, it's not literally 1-1, since there's no level or world number indicated to be found anywhere on screen. I love the return of the Super Mario 3D land and world style of level icons here, by the way. Though it seems like in this game they won't be unique for each level, since the third level up ahead looks identical. Apart from this level's Wonder Seed count, this also shows the level's difficulty rating, which presumably goes up to 5 stars. Interesting how the Goombas in this level preview are awake. I suppose we just didn't see that segment in any of the trailer's footage. Down in the bottom left, there's 2 buttons. This right one, activated with plus, is probably just a menu, but I think this other one, activated with L, will probably allow you to look around the map freely. Piranha Plants on Parade, the game's second level, is most likely this level we saw towards the start of the trailer. which is cool because it has a completely different theme from the rest of this world, and thus it also has a different icon. We also get a better look at the rest of this first world here. It almost looks as if there's only 3 levels in the whole world, but surely there's more, right? It could be that this is just the world's first half, or maybe because of how much more thematically diverse each level seems to be, there'll be fewer of them, who knows. We also see those same mushroom hill shaped clouds in the background, and even further back, those are probably the pipe shaped mountains. The next clip shows our first gameplay of Peach. This is probably the next world of the game, with once again the pipe shaped mountains and mushroom hill shaped clouds. But of course, the focus of this clip is Peach running after this scared looking, ferret? I don't know what this is supposed to be, but it has a shell, and in fact, its color scheme is reminiscent of Sumo Bros. This isn't a nabbit chase type of thing, because once the enemy gets defeated by the red shell, Peach just jumps over it, so I suppose it's just a generic scared enemy. There's also these yellow blocks over to the right here, and one of those gets destroyed by the shell. Then we get our first look at Yellow Toad in action. The reason both Toad here and Peach in the previous clip do this animation, by the way, is because they're both being bounced up. It's interesting how the trailer specifically highlights this with a close-up. Could there be more trick animations like this? The environment here is very interesting. This orange cube formation in the background kind of looks like the traditional Mario semi-solid, but of course they also kind of look edible, so maybe this is a return to NSMBU's food theme? Then, in terms of mechanics in this section, there's these goofy looking frog balloon things. It's interesting that the trailer shows 2 different types of round bouncy enemies, these guys and also the hippos. When Toad jumps on one of these frogs, it deflates slightly and moves to the left. On the other hand, this pink frog back here is permanently deflated and moving to the right. Maybe this is some kind of race? Maybe this frog is pink to match the roller skates of the other racing type enemies. The next clip shows maybe the strangest theme yet. It looks to be an overgrown cave kind of area with stalactites shaped like pipes hanging from the ceiling and poison water down below. And of course, we've also got our first Daisy gameplay here, and in fact her first appearance in any mainline Mario game since Super Mario Land. The highlight of this segment is Daisy pushing back against this Sledge Bro-like enemy, but what's the goal here? Well, before the camera zooms in, we can see what looks to be a bonus room in the background. So if you manage to push the pipe all the way over onto this weird looking pipe segment here, presumably you can enter it to go to that bonus room. Even just the fact that you can push up against stuff in this game opens up a whole new world of possibilities. There's also a snail crawling on a pipe on the left, though I'm unsure whether this is an enemy or just some subtle decoration. Here we finally see another shot of the world map. Before we talk about that Bowser face ship, it's worth pointing out that this is probably the second world of the game, you know, with all the pipe-shaped mountains. Anyways, the Bowser face ship, what's up with that? As we'll see in a later clip, this is probably Bowser's castle for this game, though it looks as if Bowser, or at least his ship, has been corrupted to some extent. After all, when's the last time you've seen a Bowser thing without lava everywhere? Just think of Bowser's ship from the Mario movie. Instead, there's all this green stuff, which seems to have infected the ship's castle, horns, and even teeth. In fact, something must really be wrong with Bowser because the eyes of the ship have this spiral effect. Even the way it flies away unsteadily, leaving behind purple smoke, doesn't seem quite right, though maybe this is all just a part of an animation after you've just defeated Bowser to some extent, just like with NSMBU's airships. Bowser's castle looks to be a polluting, corrupted factory of sorts, which contrasts really nicely with the game's very nature-based mechanics. This next clip implies some really cool stuff when it comes to the game's structure. Actually, first of all, I should probably mention this is the first time we see 2 players in the trailer. But anyways, the real highlight here is that, much like in Super Mario 3D World, this segment of the world map seems to allow for full 3D control of the players. But the first world map segment we saw seems to just have normal paths. What's up with that? It looks as if these nodes are what switch you from linear to open world map controls, which is really interesting and should allow for very dynamic world map designs. In terms of levels that are on display here, we can see 2 smaller level nodes that have been cleared, as indicated by the blue ring around them. It's hard to tell what this level up here is about, but this one down here has a light blue Wonder Seed icon. Maybe trading in Wonder Seeds here is what can unlock either this path to the left here or this path to the right, who knows. All 3 of what look to be normal levels in this segment are uncleared. These levels all share the same diorama, though this one up here has towers on either side. Maybe that's the indicator for this game's castle levels? Since that particular level hasn't been beaten yet, presumably doing so would unlock this path that's currently greyed out. Either way, it looks like we could play these levels in any order we'd want. There's also what looks like an NPC chilling here, maybe you can buy stuff with purple coins from them. In terms of theming, we do see a few levels up in the clouds throughout the trailer, maybe those are located in this world? We also see a snow area down below, right under these peculiar looking birds. We also see a few snow levels throughout the trailer, which presumably take place somewhere down there. The next clip shows our first look at multiplayer gameplay inside of an actual level. Presumably, the character with the crown above them is who controls the camera, similar to how it works in New Super Mario Bros. 2. And just like in Super Mario 3D World, not only do players share lives, but each player also adds an additional item slot. After several segments in the trailer which at first glance look like race segments, here it finally looks like that's actually what's going on. Not only is there a wiggler on roller skates keeping up with the players, there's also a timer which presumably will allow you to keep track of high scores in these race segments. This segment also features another boost track which we first saw towards the beginning of the trailer. And mere frames before this clip ends, we see a glimpse of two extremely strange looking enemies. These look kind of like Biddybuds from more recent Mario games, but their tops are a lot more like a different style of mushroom than you'd expect to see in a Mario game. The next clip is very interesting. It's our first look at proper 4-player gameplay. It seems to be some sort of ghost house area, judging from the general atmosphere and this door here. But of course the most interesting thing going on here is Peach entering a golden pipe to emerge in the foreground. There's also some more showcases of the players' movesets in this clip. Luigi does a ground pound, Mario does a wall jump, and Yellow Toad pushes up against this block. Peach, in this clip, also has a fire flower equipped with the same design from Super Mario 3D World, only now without the ponytail, interestingly enough. This next clip is our first look at proper underwater gameplay. This looks to be that same beach theme we saw earlier with the background waves and whatnot. This is also the first time we see Cheep Cheeps. Apparently, Cheep Cheeps can be defeated by landing on top of them underwater in this game. That's not how it works in previous 2D Mario games. Up here, there's an indent in the ground. Could this be an indication for the return of hidden wall secrets like in New Super Mario Bros. Wii and U? And on the right here, we can see these strange looking urchin-like enemies, which might just work as underwater replacements for piranha plants. This next clip may be the most interesting yet. Mario hits an on-off block, which looks similar to how they do in Super Mario Maker 2. The lights turn off and a Wonder Seed appears up above. Presumably, the challenge here is navigating these platforms from memory, now that you can't see anything except your eyes. Once this section is dark, the background turns into that same silhouette style yet again, and our flower companion doesn't seem to like any of this. This isn't a theme we've seen before. It looks to be a traditional desert of sorts, but with an oasis and giant question blocks in the background. That same caterpillar character also reappears here. We'll talk about them some more towards the end of the video. There's been a surprising lack of mushrooms in this trailer so far, but this section more than makes up for that. Not only is there a traditional mushroom platform over here, there's also giant mushrooms in the background. It looks really pretty. But mushrooms aren't the only thing growing here, there's also pumpkins. Not only are there pumpkin decorations in the background, there's also these rectangular destroyable pumpkins. We see another sleeping Goomba in this segment, but there's also this crazy looking enemy tower. I think these are also a type of Goomba actually, at least they act a lot like a traditional Goomba tower. This next clip features some interesting stuff. It seems as if Yoshi is a normal playable character like any other in this game, but then Mario mounts him like usual. They even do a flutter jump together. Though it's hard to see, there are 2 item slots in this clip, and Mario also has a crown, so this really is a multiplayer segment. So then, is Yoshi just a playable character who happens to have more abilities? What if you're playing single player? It could basically be like how Diddy Kong works in more recent Donkey Kong games, where player 2 can either move around on their own or give up control to player 1. Apart from that, this part also has some other interesting tidbits. In terms of theming, those same structures from that dash panel segment earlier reappear here, though there's also strange formations up in the clouds in this segment. I feel like both of these segments might be what bonus segments look like in this game. This clip is an underground bonus area, and this one a sky bonus area. After all, those do traditionally feature cloud platforms. In fact, I don't think this clip takes place at nighttime like it might appear. I think this sky gradient indicates that we're just really high up in the clouds. And then there are all these crazy spinning purple enemies which almost form a sort of wave. I suppose they're this level's gimmick, and they're unlike any other enemy I've seen in Mario before. Blink and you'll miss it, but right at the start of this segment we see another one of those flower buds which seemingly spawn these coins. This next clip shows a really cool new ability for the players, this giant hat they can float with. This probably isn't a permanent power-up that you could take to any level, since there seems to be something that might be a hat shop or dispensary of some sort just off screen at the start of this clip. It's pretty funny that Peach uses a giant peach hat instead of her umbrella or even her dress to float. The background here is very similar to that yellow toad segment from earlier, but at a different time of day. Maybe that's one way they'll shake up the theming of levels in the same world. I still can't get over how generic the Midway flag looks considering how much they messed with the design of basically every other element in the game. The coins and a mushroom in bubbles are nothing new to 2D Mario games, but it's weird that they put a mushroom right in front of a Midway. That suggests that the Midway is no longer guaranteed to power the player up if they're small. Here we get the best look at the world map yet, and in fact we get to see how two of the earlier segments we've seen connect. This flower node here allows the players to each grab onto a flying giant flower, much like in Super Mario Galaxy, and presumably that will allow you to fly all the way over to the Pipe Mountain region, where we saw Bowser's ship earlier. We can also see what looks like one of those Toad House-like structures way in the distance in the form of a level that's been cleared, which we know due to the blue ring. Maybe we can trade purple coins for power-ups there. If we look even further in the distance, we can even see what looks like an uncleared level with a giant question mark block. This could be that same desert level we saw earlier. It's interesting that there's also terrain way off to the left. Maybe the roadmap will feature massive split paths, just like in New Super Mario Bros. U. The next clip gives us a look at a different type of wonder flower. This yellow version rotates the area once touched, which causes this spike ball to start rotating towards the characters. In terms of theming, this segment is also like no other. Clearly it's a snowy area of some sort, though the background doesn't only feature typical snowy trees, but also, strangely, rotating gears. Maybe this ties back to the Bowser factory design we've seen throughout the game. Another noteworthy thing in this clip is something I'm really happy about. It looks like players will no longer bump into each other, since Mario, Luigi, and Peach are just running alongside each other like it's no big deal. This clip here shows a skydiving segment. Clearly you have some control over how quickly you fall in this section. This also looks like another Wonder Effect segment. We can see the same bubble effects in the corners of the screen, and the purple coin counter has a decimal again. It could be that the yellow Wonder Flower always rotates the screen to some extent. So maybe in this segment a horizontal level got rotated 90 degrees, and suddenly we're skydiving. But perhaps the coolest detail we can glean from this part is the way the Starman power-up works in this game. It's subtle, but both Mario and Peach actually have the star power-up in this clip, and because of that, they attract coins, which is similar to how it works in Super Mario Run. Actually, Mario even transfers the Starman to Luigi once they get close to each other. That's also once again demonstrating that players don't easily bump into each other. Towards the very end of this clip, we see another variation of that purple cloud enemy from earlier. This one kind of reminds me of a Flame Chomp. This next clip gives us another glimpse at the potential Bowser corruption plotline. It's hard to tell, but we're actually fighting Bowser Jr. here. Bowser Jr. has the Dark Bowser color scheme from Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, but with the addition of this green and purple coloring we also saw from Bowser's ship. It seems like the Wonder gimmick that's active in this boss fight is periodically making Bowser Jr. small and Mario big, and vice versa. Mario has the fire ability in this clip, by the way, though it's not affecting Bowser Jr., probably because of this green shield around him. In the background, we can actually see what is probably that same Bowser ship we've seen before, with the same purple clouds and everything. Could this be the fight that causes this cutscene on the world map? Either way, I couldn't be happier about the fact that it looks like we're finally getting some interesting 2D Mario boss fights again. It's been so long. Next, we get a look at another crazy wonder effect, this giant rolling snowball segment. This snowball is smashing through this area's terrain. It even killed this peculiar looking new enemy at the start of the clip. There are several snowmen in this clip, one on the giant snowball and one hidden in the background. In fact, there's another sign of life in the form of this lantern hanging from a rope. Hopefully this level's theme also goes beyond generic snow stuff. We get a better look at that crazy looking Bowser ship in this next segment. I love how often background elements in this trailer tie in directly with the stuff we see on the world map. Another noteworthy thing about the castle we can see in this clip is that it has a similar roof design to the strange looking toad houses we've seen throughout the trailer. Anyways, let's talk about what's actually going on in this segment. Once again, the Wonder Effect is active, and perhaps because of that we have these crazy looking Bulla Bill-like enemies raining down. Okay, they're not Bulla Bills, maybe more like missile mics? And are these even enemies? At one point, Green Yoshi seems to get hit by one of them and it does nothing. So my guess is these are actually platforms that the player can stand on, though the scene cuts right before Green Yoshi lands on top of one. Speaking of Yoshi, why are there 4 Yoshis in this one segment? The Yoshi colors mostly match New Super Mario Bros. Wii, but Pink Yoshi has been replaced with Red Yoshi, who also appeared in Super Mario Maker 2. These all seem to be different playable characters controlled by different people, but if anyone has the option of playing as Yoshi, why wouldn't you always pick him? Do different characters have different attributes? Wait, can one Yoshi ride another Yoshi? Who knows? And here we get to see 4 players hitting the top of the flagpole of the game's first level. Even though the flagpole doesn't turn golden like it would in Super Mario 3D Land or World, it still seems like getting the top of the flagpole is something that's kept track of due to this icon that appears. Of course, the most peculiar thing about this clip is this crazy animation of this previously seen Toad House looking thing. But it transforms into that from what? What was it before? Well, if we look very closely, we can actually tell that the structure resembles a normal Gold fortress at first, only with Bowser horns on top, or at least that's what I presume from these few pixels. So it looks like we'll actively be fighting Bowser's control over the levels, replacing his fortresses with houses, or something like that. Then, this same weird looking character we saw on the world map earlier emerges from the house carrying a Wonder Seed, and the level seemingly ends when we collect it. And here we get yet another look at that caterpillar character. So what's up with him? Well, he's also on the game's box art, so he must be pretty important. We're probably helping him retake his kingdom, just like with the Sprixies in Super Mario 3D World. And that's it. Wait, what do you mean, Elephant Mario? Oh god, right. So yeah, throughout the entire trailer, we only see one traditional power-up, the Fire Flower, which is basically in every Mario game. But at the very end of the trailer, the game finally reveals its main power-up, the, elephant apple? The weirdest thing about this is that he literally becomes an elephant. He doesn't wear a suit, like in other power-up transformations. He just turns from a human into an elephant, wearing the same clothes. The only thing they show this elephant variant of Mario doing is comedically murdering this innocent Goomba with a trunk attack, which probably works similarly to a Tanuki tail attack. However, I'm pretty certain that it has some kind of block-breaking ability, like a very powerful ground pound or a charge or something, since clearly the game is encouraging you to use your newfound elephantness to obtain this purple 10 coin. Though I suppose your trunk attack could also probably take care of those brick blocks. I just really hope there's more to the ability. The trailer ends with this strange-looking wipe animation featuring a blue, red, and yellow band of colors. The same one it opened with, actually. We actually see the same colors flanked by grey and white in the coarse clear animation earlier. I suppose it's just some quirky UI design. And that's the entire trailer analyzed, but there's still one thing left to do, which is have a look at the game's box art. We mostly see what you'd expect. Mario holding a Wonder Flower, Luigi and the Caterpillar King, Peach, Daisy, Yellow Toad, a Blue Toad Goomba, Wait, a Blue Toad Goomba, what? We don't see Blue Toad anywhere in this trailer. Why is he on the box art transformed into a Goomba? I have a couple of ideas. It could be that he's just a hidden alternative to Yellow Toad, just like in Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, but then putting him on the box art would be an odd move. He could even be a normal, fully accessible character like any other, but then why is he a Goomba? Is this a transformation that they just didn't show in the trailer? Super Mario Bros. 3 featured all of these kings, which transformed into various things. Maybe this game does something similar, which would explain the Caterpillar King, and somewhere along the way, Blue Toad got turned into a Goomba. Yeah, that seems unlikely, I'll admit. Anyways, the box art also features a purple question mark block, another thing we didn't see in the trailer at all. Who even knows what's up with that? Lastly, it's interesting that Yoshi is carrying a shell here. He can't normally do that. Perhaps this really does mean that Yoshi will have all the abilities of a normal player. Anyways, there we go. A new 2D Mario game for the first time in over a decade. There are still a lot of unknown factors here, but it's pretty normal for Nintendo not to reveal too much in the first trailer, and yet it feels like they already revealed more stuff here than in any new Super Mario Bros. Game. I'm super excited for it, and I hope you are too. So what do you think of Super Mario Bros. Wonder? Would you like me to cover the game leading up to its release and beyond, or should I just stick to the same old boring new Super Mario Bros. U stuff? Let me know. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and all of that. Thanks for watching, and bye bye!